And away we go, episode 1264 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. It is the day of the start of the post-All-Star break portion of the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season. And our rebuilding and tanking Washington Wizards, they have two big games over back-to-back nights. Home games against the Indiana Pacers on back-to-back nights. Home to the Pacers on Thursday night at 7 and home to the Pacers on Friday night at 7. The Wizards are 14-39, second worst record in the NBA. The Pacers are 15-40, fourth worst record in the NBA. My friends, these are two big home games over back-to-back nights for our Wizards. Capital One Arena will be rocking with fans rooting for the Wizards to lose in the quest to keep their reported top 8 protected first-round pick in the perceived to be loaded 2026 NBA draft. You know, a fallacy with the Wizards tanking is that they, while tanking, do not have big games. Oh, no. The Wizards, while tanking, do have big games. They're just games that the Wizards need to lose and not win.
The damn Washington Wizards!
Exactly. Thank you, ESPN's Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, a possible future presidential candidate. Have you been following that? Who wants Stephen A. Smith as our next president? I'll hang up and take your answer off air. Hello and welcome to this Thursday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Next segment, a conversation with Pro Football Focus NFL analyst John Kosko on the value of more under center snaps for Washington Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels. So we know that more under center snaps are coming. Both head coach Dan Quinn and the team's new offensive coordinator David Blough have made this clear. We'll get good perspective from John on the team's thinking and going in this direction. Also, John will address what he believes David Blough's offense for Jayden Daniels should be, and more. And also on the show, I'll talk college basketball. Busy night on Wednesday night. Losses for Maryland, Georgetown, and George Mason, but wins for number 14 Virginia and Navy, which has clinched its first outright regular season conference title since 1997. Before we get to feedback, University of Maryland head football coach Mike Locksley, he on Wednesday morning announced several additions and updates to his coaching staff. Among the additions was what broke via reports on Tuesday afternoon that Maryland has hired Clint Trickett as offensive coordinator. His official title is offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach. He just this past December was hired by the University of Arkansas as quarterbacks coach. He spent the 2025 season as Jacksonville State offensive coordinator. Pep Hamilton, who spent the 2025 season as Maryland's offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach. He's still with Maryland. His title now is special assistant to the head coach. Also, Maryland has hired former Maryland All-American defensive lineman Randy Starks as defensive line coach. Starks played for Maryland for the 2001 through 2003 seasons, was a key member of the Terrapins' first 3 teams with Ralph Regan as head coach. Starks was taken by the Tennessee Titans in the 3rd round of the 2004 NFL Draft, played in the NFL for 12 seasons, 2004 through 2015. Also, 2026 Washington National Spring Training in West Palm Beach, Florida. The Nats late Wednesday morning officially announced having signed free agent reliever Drew Smith to a minor league contract with an invitation to Major League Spring Training. Smith had spent his entire MLB career with the New York Mets, 2018 through 2025, but he has twice undergone UCL surgery, March 2019 and July 2024. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Feedback to our conversation on Wednesday's show, episode 1263, with former Washington Redskins general manager Charlie Casserly, who was outstanding. Tremendous stories from Charles G., PhD on X, writes Charles. Thanks for that Charlie Casserly interview. For the longest time, he has been one of my greatest people in the franchise. His story is great. For the longest part of my life, I wanted to be like him, being an intern and then GM. Great new stories. Thank you for that, Charles. Glad that you enjoyed the conversation. Yeah, the story from Charlie of being apologized to by Dan Snyder for firing Charlie in July 1999, just 2 months after Dan bought the Skins. Such a good story. And when it comes to who bought the team from Dan Snyder in July 2023, email from Frank Radcliffe on Commanders managing partner Josh Harris, Commanders limited partners, Mitchell Rails and Markine, and Monumental Sports and Entertainment founder, chairman, managing partner, and CEO Ted Leonsis, all appearing, or at least appearing to appear, in the Epstein files. Writes Frank. Hi, Al. Great show, as per usual. Being the self-proclaimed underground renegade militia, I thought you might be interested in some of the latest news from the Epstein files involving a section of the Commanders owners and also Ted Leonsis. Have a look at file EFTA 02731341 to get context, and then scroll to EFTA 02731353. Also, I have found in the files that Mitch Rails, on July 19th, 2008, took a flight on the Air Ghislaine Express, which was Jeffrey Epstein's and Ghislaine Maxwell's private helicopter, took the helicopter to Palm Beach. This was shortly after Jeffrey Epstein's plea deal in June 2008. See EFTA 01267-590. Thank you for the email, Frank. And full disclosure, I edited Frank's email and purposely left out some of what Frank wrote. No disrespect to Frank, but he did quote some stuff from the Epstein files that is, shall we say, disturbing and may or may not be true. But this podcast is not the place for that. But I left in Frank citing his research with those file numbers. As I'm sure many of you know, you can read the Epstein files for yourself by going to justice.gov/Epstein. The Justice Department on January 30th released many more records from its investigative files on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This via the Epstein Files Transparency Act. An astounding 3 million pages of documents were released on January 30th. I read to you from a press release from the Department of Justice on January 30th. Quote, the Department of Justice today published over 3 million additional pages responsive to the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which was signed into law by President Trump on November 19th, 2025. More than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images are included in today's additional publication. Combined with prior releases, this makes the total production nearly 3.5 million pages released in compliance with the Act. These files were collected from 5 primary sources, including the Florida and New York cases against Epstein, the New York case against Maxwell, the New York cases investigating Epstein's death, the Florida case investigating a former butler of Epstein, multiple FBI investigations, and the Office of Inspector General investigation into Epstein's death, end quote. But also in this press release was this, quote, this production may include fake or falsely submitted images, documents, or videos, as everything that was sent to the FBI by the public was included in the production that is responsive to the Act, end quote. All right, so Jeffrey Epstein was a horrendous person. What happened to these women who were victimized by him and whatever the heck he had going on was pure evil. And by the way, the whatever the heck he had going on part, I think is crucial in all of this. Why was he doing what he was doing? Why was he running an apparent blackmail operation? What was that about? Was he working for someone? There is so much to this situation that to me has been under-discussed and underexplored. But you with this situation, of course, start with the victims, right? I have a mom. I have a sister. I have a wife. I have a 5-year-old daughter. The mere thought of what Epstein's victims went through is gut-wrenching and infuriating. But we have to be very careful with who is mentioned and what is said in the Epstein files. There, in these files, is so much stuff. And the stuff appears to range from heartbreaking to wildly sensationalistic. The reason that investigative files and grand jury proceedings so often are not released is because these files and proceedings often contain unproven and untrue accusations. As the Justice Department said in that press release on January 30th, quote, "This production may include fake or falsely submitted images, documents, or videos, as everything that was sent to the FBI by the public was included in the production that is responsive to the act," end quote. So these Epstein files include pretty much anything that was said or produced by anyone. So we can't just assume that everything in the millions of documents that constitute the Epstein files is true. We also can't assume that someone being mentioned in the Epstein files means that the person is guilty of any wrongdoing. Jeffrey Epstein was filthy rich. He was very well connected. He had interactions with a lot of people. It is important with something like this to be fact-based and not to behave out of emotion. And I've seen people on X post things about Josh Harris regarding the Epstein files that to me are totally unfair and irresponsible and nasty. And look, I am not pretending that I am Edward R. Murrow, okay? But being fact-based is extremely important in a situation like this. Now, specific to Josh Harris, he, as far as we can tell, has been upfront about this. The latest Epstein files dump happened on January 30th. Harris that evening came out with an explanation of him being in the files. Said a spokesperson for Josh Harris on January 30th, quote, "Josh Harris never had an independent relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Harris sought to prevent Epstein's attempts to develop a corporate relationship with Apollo. As these emails indicate, Harris sought to avoid meeting with Epstein, canceling meetings, and having others return his calls," end quote. So Josh Harris's correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein was through assistants and was about Epstein wanting to arrange business meetings with Harris, who made his fortune in private equity, co-founded the firm Apollo Global Management in 1990. Now, all of this said, I am all for more information, and I am all for finding out the truth. But right now, this is what we have in front of us, and this is what we know. You know what's crazy about the Epstein files, too, is that they do include Dan Snyder, and they do include the greatest head coach in franchise history and in Washington, D.C. sports history, Joe Gibbs. Dan Snyder and Joe Gibbs are in the Epstein files. The line from the document is, quote, "Joe Gibbs is so nice, but Dan Snyder is a pig," end quote. Yes, that is a line in the Epstein files. Quote, "Joe Gibbs is so nice, but Dan Snyder is a pig," end quote. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Now, we have no certainty regarding the context in which this line occurs, and the line could mean many things and could be about many things. But Dan Snyder and Joe Gibbs are in the Epstein files. Although Gibbs is in the Epstein files in a positive way, and that is something when you think about that, right? Quote, "Joe Gibbs is so nice," end quote. Only Joe Gibbs could be in the Epstein files in a positive way. Well, your health should always be a positive. A great sponsor of this podcast is Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink, which is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It is a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Well, Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink produces an enzyme to break down this byproduct. Make Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best the next day. Enjoy drinks with friends. Enjoy drinks while watching the big game, and don't sacrifice your productivity for the next day. Start your night with Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol and wake up ready to show up strong at work, clear-headed, focused, and back to business. Go to zbiotics.com/Galdi and you'll get 15% off your first order when you use the promo code Galdi at checkout. Plus, Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. Also, subscriptions are available for maximum consistency. That's zbiotics.com/Galdi. Use the promo code Galdi at checkout for 15% off. Hey guys, present the best version of yourself via OneSkin, which is the best product for skincare. OneSkin formulas are powered by the OS1 peptide, a patented peptide built on longevity science proven to target aging at the cellular level. OneSkin supports the cellular repair that keeps your skin looking and feeling better as you get older. This is not about adding extra steps to your routine. No, this is about swapping in smarter ones. Born from over 10 years of longevity research, OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the cells that cause the visible signs of aging, helping you unlock your healthiest skin now and as you age. And for a limited time, OneSkin is making it even easier to stay consistent with up to 30% off your first 3 subscription orders when you use the promo code GALDI at oneskin.co/GALDI. That's oneskin.co/GALDI and use the promo code GALDI. oneskin.co/GALDI, up to 30% off with the promo code GALDI. And after your purchase, you'll be asked where you heard about OneSkin. Please support our show and say that Al Galdi sent you.
Big thanks to our sponsor, BetterHelp, for partnering with us for this important conversation about mental health.
This is Steve Smith here, former NFL wide receiver and host of the 89 show on YouTube. So having a counselor and working with BetterHelp, that gives you an opportunity to really start to unpack. But people don't understand, when you unpack things, you also open up a box that you're not always sure what's inside. So I think that's why seeing a professional is extremely important. If you need someone to open up to, visit BetterHelp. That's betterhelp.com/89 to get started.
So we know that the Washington Commanders are headed toward having more under center snaps for QB1 Jayden Daniels. So the Commanders on January 6th parted with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. The Commanders on January 10th announced having promoted assistant quarterbacks coach David Blough to offensive coordinator. And we on February 10th, during a press conference for head coach Dan Quinn, and then during an introductory press conference for Blough as the team's offensive coordinator, heard it made clear that more under center snaps for Jayden Daniels are coming. We on last Friday's show, episode 1260, got very good insight from Washington Commanders analyst and former Washington Redskins tight end Logan Paulsen on why the Commanders want more under center snaps for Jayden Daniels. So here was some of what Logan said.
Well, this is funny. Like, there's a million ways to skin a cat, and you can do it effectively in a multitude of ways. And I've always said this, and this is not a new take from me. If you want to do it from the gun, you can do it from the gun. If you want to do it from the pistol, you can do it from the pistol. If you want to do it from under center, but you have to think about what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to show the defense ultimately, right? I think that's where people get a little bit lost. So when you're under center, I take the snap, I turn my back to the defense, the ball is hidden. And so now you have to defend the run, you have to defend a boot, you have to defend a play action pass. And you think about the strain and stress that puts on the linebackers and the defensive line is tremendous, right? If you look at Miami, they do a lot of stuff from the gun where they're like motioning guys in orbit motioning guys across the face. They hide the football. It's the same stress on the linebacker. They just do it a different way. I think under center just provides a great tool for an offense. And I think the other thing that I think is maybe more important is the marriage of formation. So like everything, like your runs should look like you should be throwing out of the formations you run the football out of and vice versa. And I think when you're under center, especially with the teams that do that more in the league, Seattle Seahawks being one that comes to mind, is they get in these condensed formations, they're under center, they throw the football out of those, right? It gives them an advantage because you have to defend the run as well. And so I just think marrying the concept to me is more of the issue here. Marrying the formations is more of the issue as opposed to strictly being under center.
Okay, so terrific analysis from Logan Paulsen right there. As he said, under center, shotgun, pistol, each can work. There are many ways to do good offense in the NFL, but what Logan said about the importance of marrying formations was so key. What an NFL offense ideally does is make its passing plays and running plays look similar from a formation standpoint so that defenses don't know what the offense is about to do. Tied into this idea of marrying formations is play action. Play action for an offense is more effective when the offense is doing a good job of marrying formations. The Commanders, with Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator, did not have many total play action pass attempts. The Commanders for the 2024 regular season per Sport Radar were number 20 out of 32 NFL teams in play-action pass attempts, 111. The Commanders for the 2025 regular season per Sport Radar were number 28 out of 32 NFL teams in play-action pass attempts, 95. But the team for the 2025 regular season did have a play-action rate per Sharp Football Analysis of 17.3%, which was high. So it's not like the Commanders with Kingsbury as offensive coordinator were like anti-play action. Play action pass attempts, generally speaking, are more effective than non-play action pass attempts. So the Commanders wanting more play action pass attempts is understandable, and the team clearly believes that having Jayden Daniels work from under center more is a good way of doing more play action. For more on the benefits of a quarterback being under center, here were ESPN NFL analysts Marcus Spears, Dan Orlovsky, and Ryan Clark on ESPN's NFL Live back in October 2022, discussing a quarterback being under center versus being in the shotgun or pistol.
Even in protection, I tell y'all this all the time. When the back is set away, usually in shotgun, we know what the protection is.
So I used to always have these conversations with offensive linemen, and when we were in under center in comparison to in the gun, they would always say that their ability to sell the run was so much more realistic because they could just fire off the football more.
Yep.
The ability for a quarterback, like when I'm under center and I'm running play action, for people at home, like when I take the snap, I literally get to hide the football.
We don't
from
see
you.
it. Yep.
Right. You have no idea whether I'm actually handing it off or not. Where in the gun, it's just catch and I flash the ball. You guys all still see the football on defense, Well,
it's not necessarily even about what we see. It's about what we can anticipate. And Marcus mentioned how the playbook is so condensed once you guys are in shotgun. It also allows me to relax. It also allows me not to react to every single thing. When you're under center, you have so much you can do and so much looks the same.
Yeah.
Right? As far as like just sticking the ball out there, I can be late. I'm not rushing to the run.
Is that different in the gun for you?
Yeah, but I'm not rushing to the run because I'm like, oh, you're going to get 4 yards on the run? I don't care. I'll react late. I'll put a cap on the defense. I'll give us another blade of grass to defend. But when you do have the stretch runner available, when you do have ISO, when you do have zone, now we are triggering as cover two corners. We are triggering as down safeties, and all of those things change what you can do. The other thing is this. The amount of play action you can do and the type of play action opens up the route tree. Right. When we're getting a straight drop back from the shotgun, things have to happen quicker.
That's a good point.
So much opens up when you turn around. You have an opportunity to elongate the play and also your time in the pocket.
All right, good perspectives there from two guys who played defense in the NFL in Marcus Spears and Ryan Clark, and the guy who played quarterback in the NFL in Dan Orlovsky. Ryan Clark, of course, was a safety who had 2 stints with the Redskins. And speaking of someone who played safety, I'm pleased to welcome back to the Galdi podcast Pro Football Focus NFL analyst John Kosko. John played big-time college football. He was a safety for the University of Kansas for the 2004 through 2006 seasons. He has insight for us on the Commanders wanting more under center snaps for Jayden Daniels. You can follow John on X at John Kosko3, and Kosko is spelled Kosko. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm doing great, Al. It's great to be back on the program with you.
Yeah, nice to talk to you again. Before we get to more under center snaps for Jayden Daniels, the Commanders' offense as a whole, with David Blough as offensive coordinator. He entered the NFL in May 2019 as an undrafted free agent with the Cleveland Browns. He, over his time in the NFL, the 2019 through 2023 seasons, had the following notable tenures as an NFL quarterback with offensive coaches. Blough was on the Minnesota Vikings practice squad during the 2022 season, working with then Vikings head coach and former Redskins offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell. The Arizona Cardinals on December 14th, 2022, announced having signed Blough off the Vikings practice squad. He was the Cardinals starting quarterback for their final 2 games in the 2022 regular season. The Cardinals head coach at the time was Cliff Kingsbury, who was fired by the Cardinals in January 2023. So it's funny that the starting quarterback for Kingsbury's final 2 games as Cardinals head coach was Blough, who replaced Kingsbury as Commanders offensive coordinator. And Blough was on the Detroit Lions practice squad during the 2023 season, working with then Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. We now have heard from Dan Quinn and David Blough on the offense. The thinking is that the offense will be a mix of the Kevin O'Connell and Ben Johnson offenses. But what do you think that Blough's offense should be, given that Jayden Daniels is the QB1?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it needs to be a combination of those two types of offenses. He's going to be a lot better out of shotgun, and the RPO type of game. So I'm anticipating you'd probably see a lot of that. And you're gonna find like, hey, getting him out of the pocket and on designed rollouts and that type of stuff. I know that Cliff did that anyways, but like being able to utilize his legs where he can get outside the pocket, create bigger pockets for him where you maybe do more under center stuff where you can do the play action from under center because, I think when you saw like with Caleb Williams this year as an example, he's still Caleb Williams, he has a lot of his own issues and stuff like that, but you saw that the growth that he showed this year, right? So a lot more under center type of stuff, which protects the quarterback a lot more. So then when you're under center and you're running that play action game, you experience a lot less pressure than you would if you're just straight shotgun, straight drop back pass. Even if you're doing play action out of shotgun, you get a higher pressure rate because teams know, hey, when you're in shotgun, you are going to be rushing, you're going to be passing a lot more anyways. So I think you're going to see some, more motion, more movement. That's not something that really happens in a Cliff Kingsbury offense. So I want to see him being in an offense where put him under center a little bit more, just to kind of help with some of those pockets, and then also for some motion shifts and stuff like that to kind of give you a pre-snap indication of what the defense is trying to show you, and then the designed rollouts where you can, he has that run pass option, even on a rollout, whether it be out of shotgun or whatnot. So, and then I think the screen game does. I mean, the screen game is going to help any quarterback, but like generally, like it's the screen happens, let's throw it out there and you're good to go. But that helps alleviate the pressure off of a quarterback again. So that's kind of what I want to see out of a Jayden Daniels, led offense, which, who knows what David Blough is going to do, right? Like he's never been an offensive coordinator. So it's a big question mark of, is he going to adopt the Kingsbury, offense with some Ben Johnson influence, or is he going to be more of a Ben Johnson with the Kingsbury, influence on it? We'll find out. But I think you've got to make things easier for that quarterback to succeed, and especially guy who has the athleticism and getting him out of the pocket, making easy reads, and then when you have to go through like a full field read or maybe a half field read, full regression read, whatever it is, to make those much fewer and far between than they need to be.
You said something that is especially notable. Under center play action is more credible and thus more effective than shotgun/pistol play action.
Absolutely. So teams, when a team goes under center, generally, like, you don't see a straight drop back game out of that. So you're either getting a play action like type of pass out of that, or you're getting a run. And most of the time when teams go under center, they start running it. So defenses react to runs a lot more often when a quarterback is under center because they're anticipating run. Like for 100+ years in the NFL in football, teams have, linebackers are trained. You read those run keys, you're firing forward and you're stopping the run first. So when you do have a good play action game out from under center, teams react to the run first and then to the pass second. And if you can have, a good system there where the quarterback is usually kept much more clean. I don't have the numbers in front of me to say, hey, what is it, the difference in terms of pressure rate and efficiency and stuff like that. But generally across the board, efficiency goes up, pressure rate goes down. And essentially that's it, because the middle of the field opens up a lot more for quarterbacks and they have more time to find an open receiver.
More with John Kosko in moments, but if you are planning a wedding or you know someone who is, check out or have that person check out cateringbyuptown.com. Catering by Uptown delivers not just delicious food of the highest quality, but also a flawless and memorable experience tailored to your special day. Catering by Uptown's team is dedicated to meeting your every need with elegance and precision. If you visit cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can set up your own personal tour of one of Catering by Uptown's premier venues, including outstanding waterfront venues. Also, Catering by Uptown is great for parties, so whether a birthday, an anniversary, a retirement, or a charity gala, Catering by Uptown Uptown understands that special events deserve to be celebrated in style. Catering by Uptown takes care of every detail so that you can enjoy your event. Catering by Uptown is a family business. It is run by the Pereiras, so they are great Commanders fans and loyal supporters of this podcast. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. We're talking Jayden Daniels with Pro Football Focus NFL analyst John Kosko. Something else with play action, and I first read this via Football Outsiders years ago, is that the effectiveness of play action has little to do with the effectiveness of the running game. That play action is effective regardless of the quality of the running game.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. We at PFF have also done those numbers and run those studies and find the same basically results from that. You can run because again, like what I said, defensive players have been for 100 years in the NFL. When they see that ball fake, hey, they're reading that and they're coming forward, right? So they've been trained for their entire lives, for generations. Stop the run first and then stop the pass. So it makes the play action that effective because it's just ingrained into the minds of players. Obviously I think in the modern NFL, they're recognizing and people understand, coaches and schemes, they understand, hey, we actually need to stop the pass first and force them to run because the pass is just much more efficient on a per play basis than running the ball. But there is a mentality of, hey, we have to stop the run because the run is a physical, I'm going to punch you in the mouth, you're going to punch me in the mouth, that type of thing. And you're trying to impose your will on the other team. And so that's where the dichotomy comes from, right? So there is this aspect that yeah, you want to stop the pass, but you absolutely want to stop the run and make a team one-dimensional because, again, the offense wants to run the ball because it's easier. And when the run is done well, this is another thing too, and I might be going off a little bit of a tangent here on this, but when a run play is perfectly executed, I think it's successful on 65% of the time. It's around that. It's not exactly right. So but when you have one weak link, so one missed block on the play, your efficiency on that play drops to 30%. Whereas in a pass game, if you have everything goes right, it's your efficiency on that play is 55 to 60%. And then if you have one weak link on the pass game, it drops to 40%. So there's big, smaller margin for error in a pass game versus in a run game. If everything goes right, it beats a perfectly executed pass play. But the thing is that perfectly executed run plays don't happen at the frequency that perfectly executed or even pass plays do. So it's, again, there's the yin and yang of all this and stuff like that. And teams want to run it. Defense have to stop that run so that they force them one-dimensional. And, it's the chess match that you get in the NFL.
I mean, the way that I always look at it is a great yards per carry is 5. A really bad yards per pass attempt is 6. So a really bad yards per pass attempt still is significantly better than a great yards per carry. That to me says everything about passing being more efficient than running. Jayden Daniels' quarterback experience overwhelmingly is operating at a shotgun/pistol and not under center. Footwork in operating under center matters a lot. How a quarterback sees the field can be impacted by operating under center. How much of a transition for Daniels will be him taking significantly more snaps under center?
It'll be an adjustment, but I think you just look compare the first overall pick, Caleb Williams from the last year, right? So he was that Lincoln Riley offense in college is 100% shotgun, right? So he probably had never been under center maybe less than 50 times in his entire life going before this past year, coming to the NFL, right? So there is a transition that happens, but he's a good enough athlete. Caleb Williams is a phenomenal athlete for the quarterback position, right? So he was able to figure it out and get the footwork down. Jayden Daniels, I would argue, is a better athlete than Caleb Williams and would know how to learn and just this is going to take reps or whatever, and you rep that enough, you have a good enough coach that can teach it, I think he would be perfectly fine. It'll take some time and there'll be some, hiccups along the way or whatever, but like he's a good enough athlete to learn it. So yeah, I don't think it would be a big deal for him to learn it.
And
I think you talk about like so many colleges don't even run under center anymore, right? Like I think like it's like less than 50 times per year for like even the guys that were like, oh, this guy ran an NFL offense. It's kind of like, did he really? Like, no, he didn't, because no college offense is actually like an NFL offense unless you go to Iowa, who they're still doing that type of stuff, right? Like or North Dakota State, but like I think more is made out of that than it needs to be. It's just like, hey, was he under center in college? No, not really. For everybody. And it's like, all right, he's going to have to learn that in the NFL, and it's just something that they're going to have to learn. So.
All right, great stuff. Pro Football Focus NFL analyst John Kosko. John, thank you. All the best.
Yeah, thank you so much, Al.
Well, the Commanders for the 2025 regular season had an NFL low 17 under center dropbacks. That is something. 17 under center dropbacks the entire regular season. For comparison's sake, the next lowest total was the Kansas City Chiefs' 45. We expect a few more under center dropbacks for the Commanders in the 2026 regular season. And if you are a Commanders fan, check out bgobsession.com, an outstanding site for Commanders discussion. The Sons of Washington forum on bgobsession.com is really good. A lot of smart and funny conversation. BG Obsession, or BGO, has been going strong since 2009. Great contests, game day chats, and camaraderie. No politics, just football. Both old school and new school fans are welcome. Visit and join BGO at bgobsession.com. bgobsession.com, home to your burgundy and gold obsession. And let's talk college basketball in this dreadful season for Maryland. Its first season with Buzz Williams as head coach. A bright spot has been some big scoring games by Terrapin's players. We on Wednesday night had yet another Maryland loss, but also a Terps player scoring at least 30 points for the sixth time in the 2025-2026 regular season, in which Maryland now is 10-16 overall, including 3-12 in the Big Ten, a 78-74 loss at Northwestern on Wednesday night. Maryland overcame an 8-point first-half deficit, and in the second half, led by 6 points at 50-44, but the Terps then lost the rest of the game 34-24, but Maryland lost despite an impressive game by 6'4" Texas A&M transfer and redshirt freshman Andre Mills. He, in 32 minutes as a starter, had 39 points and 4 rebounds. He went 6 for 9 on threes, 6 for 8 on twos, and 9 for 9 on free throws. Did have 1 assist versus 3 turnovers, but Mills' 39 points are the most points by a Maryland freshman in a regular season game since Diamond Stone scored 39 points as a reserve, by the way, in a 70-64 win over Penn State at Xfinity Center in College Park, Maryland on December 30th, 2015. Andre Mills is emerging as a reason for hope for Maryland moving forward. But of course, in this era of the NCAA transfer portal and NIL, you gotta hope that he does not transfer this coming off season. Maryland remained without its best player, 6'9" Texas A&M transfer Pharrell Payne. He did not play for a 15th consecutive game due to a right knee injury. Also, 6'3" Indiana transfer Miles Rice was not available to play for a 5th consecutive game, and 6'7" Texas A&M transfer George Turkson Jr. was not available to play for a 3rd consecutive game. Next up for Maryland, home to Washington Saturday afternoon at 3. So Maryland in this regular season now is 10-16 overall, including 3-12 in the Big Ten. And Georgetown in this regular season now is 13-13 overall, including 5-10 in the Big East. A 93-89 loss to Butler at Capital One Arena on Wednesday evening. Very disappointing performance against the Butler team that came into the game 4-11 in the Big East in this regular season. Georgetown never held a lead, though the Hoyas did trim a 15-point second half deficit to just 2 points in the closing seconds. But Georgetown's defense was bad. The Hoyas allowed Butler to score 93 points, go 7 for 18 on threes, 26 for 41 on twos, and 20 for 26 on free throws, and have 18 assists versus 6 turnovers. So Georgetown's offense was good other than struggling on threes. So the Hoyas went just 6 for 22 on threes, but also went 28 for 38 on twos and 15 for 19 on free throws and had 19 assists versus 8 turnovers. So Georgetown had 8 players each with at least 7 points. So the Hoyas' leading scorer was 6'7" Caleb Williams. He in 32 minutes, 59 seconds as a starter had 16 points and 3 rebounds. He went 3 for 5 on threes, 2 for 3 on twos, and 3 for 4 on free throws. So Georgetown remained without 6'5" Baylor transfer Langston Love. He did not play for a 6th consecutive games. So 3 consecutive losses now for the Hoyas since a 4-game losing streak. This had been looking like a step forward season in what is season number 3 for Ed Cooley as Georgetown head coach, but this instead has become another disappointing season for the Hoyas. Next up for Georgetown at Seton Hall Saturday evening at 6. I'll talk Virginia, George Mason, and Navy shortly, but like a well-built team, a well-built wardrobe is about pieces that work together and hold up over time. That's what Quince does best. Premium materials, thoughtful design, and everyday staples that feel easy to wear and easy to rely on, even as the weather shifts. Quince has the everyday essentials that I love with quality that lasts. Organic cotton sweaters, polos for every occasion, lighter jackets that keep you warm in the changing seasons. The list goes on. Also, Quince works directly with top factories and cuts out the middlemen, so you're not paying for brand markup, just quality clothing. Everything is built to hold up to daily wear and still look good season after season. And Quince only partners with factories that meet rigorous standards for craftsmanship and ethical production. I have a Quince blue wool pullover. Looks good, keeps me warm, is durable. It's tremendous. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/Galdi for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Galdi. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Galdi. Hey, for all of you parents out there with teenagers, we know that you're already trying to keep a million different things under control. Well, Cash App is here to help make sure that your teen's money and spending aren't adding to the craziness. Cash App is designed to meet teens aged 13 to 17 where they are with intuitive and educational tools. Available through sponsorship by an eligible parent or guardian, teens gain access to a personalized Cash App card that comes in different colors and patterns to fit the teen style, and the ability to instantly access money from family and friends. Cash App makes managing money feel easier and honestly just cooler than other options out there. Cash App also has tools that can help teens develop real-world financial habits in a space that's safe and easy to navigate, all with your oversight and approval. If your teen is getting a first job, Cash App can get your teen access to paychecks up to 2 days early and can help achieve personalized savings goals, all within the app. With Cash App, these tools become something your teen will actually want to use because they were designed with your teen in mind. Also, no one wants unnecessary surprises. Well, with Cash App, there are no monthly fees, no minimum balance requirements, and no hidden charges when sending or receiving money. With the Cash App card, you and your teen's balances receive 24/7 fraud monitoring, and if something ever feels off, you have the ability to lock the card right from your phone in just one tap. Skip the stress and give your teen a way to learn financial responsibility with no hidden fees. Download Cash App and get started today, and for a limited time, a new Cash App customer can earn $10. Just use the code FAMILY10 in your profile at sign-up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner or partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Direct deposit and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
Big thanks to our sponsor, BetterHelp, for partnering with us for this important conversation about mental health.
This is Steve Smith here, former NFL wide receiver and host of the 89 show on YouTube. So having a counselor and working with BetterHelp, that gives you an opportunity to really start to unpack. But people don't understand, when you unpack things, you also open up a box that you're not always sure what's inside. So I think that's why seeing a professional is extremely important. If you need someone to open up to, visit BetterHelp. That's betterhelp.com/89 to get started.
More now on college basketball in the Mid-Atlantic region on a busy night Wednesday night. Number 14 Virginia is more and more looking like a team that can go deep in the 2026 NCAA tournament. The Cavaliers in this regular season improved to 23-3 overall, including 11-2 in the ACC, with a 94-68 win at Georgia Tech late night on Wednesday night. UVA won its 7th consecutive game. UVA in this regular season improved to 11-2 away from home, 8-1 in road games, and 3-1 in neutral site games. This was a dominant win. UVA never trailed, began the game on a 27-5 run. UVA's defense was really good. The Cavs held Georgia Tech to just 4 for 19 on threes and just 20 for 45 on twos, and totaled 12 steals and generating 16 Georgia Tech turnovers. UVA's offense was good. The Wahoos scored 94 points, went 14 for 37 on threes and 22 for 42 on twos, and had 23 assists, although the Hoos did commit 14 turnovers. But UVA out-rebounded Georgia Tech 51-34, including having 20 offensive rebounds to Georgia Tech's 10. UVA's leading scorer was 6'9" Belgian true freshman Testa Ritter. He, in just 21-43 as a starter, had 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, and a plus-minus rating of plus 26. He went 1 for 3 on threes, 8 for 10 on twos, and 3 for 4 on free throws. Another standout was 6'5" San Francisco transfer Malik Thomas. He, in just 1907 as a starter, had 17 points and 4 rebounds. He went 5 for 8 on threes, did go just 1 for 3 on twos, did not attempt a free throw, and had 1 assist versus 3 turnovers. So what is especially impressive about this UVA team in what is Ryan Odom's first season as UVA head coach is that this team is good both offensively and defensively. We, during the postgame press conference of Ryan Odom late night on Wednesday night, had this back and forth between Jeff White, director of news content for VirginiaSports.com, and Odom.
I think I asked you about this in Nashville, but this is kind of the end right now of this long stretch of road games. What did you learn about your team in this, I think, 6-9 on the road?
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of different, styles, pressure situations. Certainly these guys have some shared experience now. Anytime you can go into somebody else's court, home court, and come out with a win, it's a huge plus. And we've been very fortunate, this year to do that. That we have a ton of respect for everybody in our conference, and by no means can we relax now because we're going to have 4 of however many at home. We've got to play well regardless of where we're playing, whether it's home or on the road, and we have some tough ones coming.
And do you talk about with your team the seeding for the NCAA tournament at all, and how important each game is? Or do you think your guys understand it because they're older and a lot of them have been there?
Yeah, I mean, we want to play in the NCAA tournament. I think that's clear. We want to do that, and we want to get as high a seed as we can. But the focus right now is not anywhere near the NCAA tournament. It's all in the regular season and the ACC regular season, and then the conference tournament, and then the NCAA tournament will come after that. If you start getting ahead of yourself, you can't. The way you control it is with your play on the court. And so if we start talking about all that kind of stuff, well, it distracts from what the job is, and that's to get the job done inside the lines.
Yeah, Ryan Odom doing a tremendous job in his first season as UVA head coach. Next up for Virginia, home to Miami Saturday afternoon at 2. A 3rd consecutive loss for George Mason. The Patriots in this regular season fell to 21-6 overall, including 9-5 in the A-10, with an 82-67 loss to Dayton at Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax, Virginia on Wednesday night. Mason for this game was a 2.5-point favorite per multiple outlets, but the Patriots in this game never never held a lead and lost by 15 points, and the score could have been worse. Dayton went just 13 for 21 on free throws. So bad defense for Mason. It allowed Dayton to score 82 points and go 11 for 21 on threes and 18 for 31 on twos and have 20 assists versus 8 turnovers. So the Patriots had been having such a good season, but they're struggling right now. Here was George Mason head coach Tony Skinn during the opening statement of his postgame press conference on Wednesday night.
Obviously, I'm getting tired of saying the same thing here. 3 games in a row. Just our overall care, it just wasn't there. And I've said this all season long to this team. I thought, we're a really, really unselfish group, and tonight we were super selfish, and just not tough enough. This is a really good Dayton team, and maybe these guys don't necessarily understand it because they come from all different places, but Dayton started out 6-0 in conference play and then lost 4 or 5 in a row, partly because they had a lot of injuries and they didn't have their full team. And the message to these guys were, when Dayton's healthy, Dayton's good enough to beat anybody in the country. They beat Marquette. They lost a game, a one-possession game to BYU. They beat Georgetown. They beat Florida State. It's a good team. I think it's a tournament team. And that messaging was that it wasn't heard, and I'm concerned, but this is also a team that's been phenomenal through a lot of stretches, and like I said, I'm concerned, but I have no choice but to stay patient.
All right. Also, big news for George Mason. Earlier this week, Mason on Monday evening announced that 6'5" Braden O'Connor will miss the remainder of the season as he recovers from a foot injury for which he had surgery in November. He'll look to obtain a medical hardship waiver from the NCAA. O'Connor was a 2025-2026 preseason All-A-10 first-team selection. That's the thing. The Patriots doing well was made even more impressive by them doing what they were doing without O'Connor. Next up for George Mason at St. Joseph's, Wednesday night at 7. And a salute to Navy. It has clinched its first outright regular season conference title since 1997 and just the 4th outright regular season conference title in program history. The Midshipmen won their 10th consecutive game, a 72-49 blowout of Lehigh at Alumni Hall in Annapolis, Maryland on Wednesday night. Navy in this regular season now is 22-6 overall, including 14-1 in the Patriot League, and now has secured the top seed in the 2026 Patriot League tournament. The other outright regular season conference titles for Navy, the CAA outright regular season title for the 1985-1986 season, the CAA outright regular season title for the 1986-1987 season, and the Patriot League outright regular season title for the 1996-1997 season. And those 85-86 and 86-87 Navy teams featured David Robinson. Navy's head coach is John Perry, who is in his first season as Navy head coach. He's been Navy's head coach since March 2025. He succeeded Ed DeChellis, who was Navy's head coach May 2011 until retiring last March. And Navy has a senior point guard in 5'11" Austin Bonini. He in this round of Lehigh on Wednesday night was the Mid's leading scorer, 36 minutes as a starter, 25 points, 7 assists versus 2 turnovers and 4 rebounds. He went 6 for 9 on threes and 5 for 5 on free throws. Did go just 1 for 6 on twos. Next up for Navy at Army, Saturday afternoon at 1:30. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Friday's show, episode 1265. We'll have much more on the Washington Commanders. Also on Friday's show, I'll talk Washington Wizards as they on Thursday night begin the post-All-Star break portion of their season. Wizards home to the Indiana Pacers, Thursday night at 7. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll talk to you on Friday.
The damn Washington Wizards.